So we have the new format here where we're going to take community comments before we get started. Anybody have anything that's not agendized that they would like to comment upon?
Just don't feel badly about the lack of attendance. I think a lot of people just don't come out on Friday nights.
No. Yeah.
Or at least not here.
Not
Yeah,
yet.
yeah, it goes other places.
I noticed Don Shadows was full.
Yeah,
I was there.
Parked up Green Valley.
You know,
parked
it's
down
funny,
Sarah-
the parking lot was full, but the restaurant was not.
Oh,
I mean, it wasn't packed in the restaurant, so I don't know where all those cars were.
Decent-sized in there, so.
okay. All right, minutes of last meeting.
Okay.
I've looked at everything, I'm good.
Okay. Are we gonna approve, all the
All
old ones?
Yes.
Okay. How do you wanna do that?
You want to read off their dates and
The
then,
dates? You wanna read them all one by one and
one
then
by one?
approve them, or approve them all in one group?
Let's do this. Does anybody have any additions to the minutes?
Jackie did, and I changed.
Okay.
There were a few, they were very, very minor.
Okay.
Just a couple of little.
All right, well, let's read off all the dates and then we'll approve them all at once.
Okay. We had February 1st, February 15th, March 7th, April 4th, May 2nd, May 16th, and we went to 6/6, or June 6th,
Okay.
and 7/2, and then the last one, 7/18.
7/18, okay.
We had a planning meeting in there between, and I've not written this, I will get on that, do that.
Is that between 6/6 and 7/12, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, one person coming up. Scott has comments.
Scott? Any comments? We moved our comment period to the beginning of the meeting, so people don't have to wait through the whole thing? No? Okay. All right, so any objections to approval of all the minutes listed? All in favor? Opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. I will go through it. You want to do that? That's fine. Okay. Very good. And thank you, Kelly, for taking care of that. Treasurer's report.
Exactly the same as our last meeting, $1,814.27. No expenses so far. We've got some things to talk about as far as the EIN and that, but,
Okay.
and make a motion, I guess, is what you wanted to approve that. To approve the post office box for the,
Okay, we'll talk about that. I
Yeah.
think we already went through all that. Okay. And just one other note on the treasurer's report, I went to the bank and I signed the card for both the safe deposit box and the account. So both Pam and I are available to disperse funds and have access to the safety deposit box, provided we have a key. And I believe you have one key,
I
correct?
have one key,
Okay, the other key is still missing in action.
either Thor or Mike.
Okay.
And they both said they turned it in, but we don't have it.
Okay, and I guess we need to decide if we want to rekey that box or just, you know. There's a signature card, we're the only two people that have access to it. So I
Exactly.
think,
According to our lot, we're pretty safe and
Okay.
comfortable because somebody, one or the other, would have to sign to get into the box, and it can't be them, so.
right,
I just think the key is lost.
okay. Maybe they can duplicate the existing key we have, is that, maybe that's a possibility? So we- or we're good
I'll
with-
ask, I'll
Okay.
ask.
Didn't think about that when I was there.
Yeah. And then Mike Hughes brought me another mailbox key for our box downtown, so there was actually 3 of those.
Okay,
Don't know why,
I
but,
didn't-
so we have another one.
okay. All right, Deputy Short, please.
Good evening, everybody. Hopefully you're all having fun.
Okay.
And Michelle's okay.
Oh, we know her name?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
She, I was informed that there was a pregnant lady walking barefoot down the road, but I went, go find her, she's walking, she said, my doctor says I have to do 6,200 and something steps every day, and I'm only at 3,000, so I walk better with my shoes on, so I'm walking to get my steps in.
On Sierra Highway barefoot.
On Sierra Highway barefoot.
Lord have mercy. Okay,
We're all, you know,
I was all worried.
she's
She
okay.
collecting trash? She have a ponytail?
No,
No.
Okay. I saw something.
she had longer hair than mine, so that's,
Okay.
most people do.
Was she dancing?
No, she was just walking. She was briskly walking, and I pulled up, and I go, are you okay? Oh, I'm great. Can you mind if I keep walking?
Because about a week ago, I saw a lady, same thing, barefoot, walking down the road, but she was kind of dancing, and I didn't know.
Yeah, no, she was
She
just,
she wasn't in the middle of the road, and she wasn't doing anything.
she was doing a
crazy. It was
high-speed
so
jog,
strange.
so.
Okay.
She's, this
She's
woman
trying to get her
has,
steps in before I
she
got
must
there.
have feet of
I know.
iron.
Yeah.
And here's
Yeah.
cars going by her at 60, 70 miles an hour.
I just work here.
Okay, thank you, and I was just worried.
By the way, I hope everybody's doing well. I'm glad everybody made it through the fires. I just appointed, I was on vacation when the fire started, but I did spend a substantial amount of time on the phone with our emergency operations and personnel, telling them how to find places in Acton that they did not find. So it's okay. Thank God for the internet, and I could call up a map and go, okay, if you look on page here, you go here, get you the views. So, and contrary to rumors, Shambhala did not evacuate, they sheltered in place. We lost pretty much most of Oasis Park, which I know is kind of, I would also say sign. The caretaker's quarters is the only thing that survived, and one old restroom from the 50s. Everything else is down flat. It missed White Rock, kind of burned around down. It burned up to the KOA, the last row of campgrounds, and an abandoned motorhome that was in their storage lot. And then it stopped, it went to Shambhala and stopped at Hughes Canyon. But it did get the other side by Cottage's Bug Works that got his whole western set and all the hills all the way back. Did not go to Pulsarosa, just touched on the edge of that. And yeah, they were restoring, it took them like a week to get all the power up. Oh, and the Rio Market, just part of their canopy got singed, and it burned completely around it and didn't touch it, so. Same thing with the fire camp, it kind of circled it and left. But all in all, we did fairly well for what was there. But it still looks like a moonscape down there if you take a drive.
Was Oasis, was that occupied, or?
Oasis is, no. There's a caretaker down there. We've had issues there with illegal filming because there's no legal access to the park.
Right.
Because of the Briggs Canyon Road issue. But all the buildings were still there. They kept talking about trying to either sell it to someone who wanted to make another campground or redeveloping it. And right now they use it for film. But yeah, pretty much it took everything out all the way down to the park.
So
A
there
lot of
were,
storage sheds are all the buildings down there are just flat to the ground.
so there were no residents, okay.
Just the caretaker, just Ronnie Hall. And they evacuated him because he got pinned in and the fire guys came down and scooped him up and took him out. So I went down and visited with him, he's okay. So it's, like I said, we were pretty lucky compared to other places in Sand Canyon, so
Yeah.
it's good. But it's gonna be a bad year, I guess, so we gotta be prepared.
Ownership hasn't changed of Oasis, has it?
No,
So it's
still Kerry and Manny
Yeah,
own it.
okay.
Yeah, but they annexed the, what they call the Stickleback Ranch next door, which is the way you kind of get in.
And Briggs Road is still up the creek?
Still
so to
up
speak.
the creek, yes ma'am.
Okay.
So that's what I've got for that. Just remember it's hot, hydrate. I've gone to several emergencies where people were passing out because they're not eating or drinking in the heat, and that's not good for you. So just everybody take precautions and you'll do okay. Let's see. And the crime report, we had 43 reports for July. We kind of went up, which as a side is interesting because overall, even though we had the crimes, we were down a whole 5.8%. We were up in some and down in a lot, but we had 5 burglary calls. And of those were 3 residents and 1 other structure.
That's only 4.
And then we had 1 worthless documents forgery, 2 fraud by false pretenses, 1 identity theft, 1 non-aggravated assault, and 3 domestic violence non-aggravated, 1 weapons law.
What does that mean?
Well, in the state of California, I think even a plastic knife will qualify for a weapons violation. I don't mean to make light of that, but a weapons violation could be somebody carrying something, switchblade, carrying a gun on their person. Who knows? It doesn't define what it is without actually reading the report. But it's carrying, usually it's something that's against the California law, and they get caught with it. And a lot of times it's, I didn't know, because as a side, you could go to any of the fairs, like the AV fair, the LA fair, and they have all these vendors, and you can buy the little laser sights, and they sell them to people who are under 18. It's a crime for someone under 18 to have one, but they'll sell them, yeah. Have to have parental supervision, so you can't have a laser pointer and walk around, because kids tend to point it at aircraft and police cars, and that's not good. But they sell that. Switchblade knife, or the easy open and automatic open, those are not legal in California.
Yeah.
But they'll sell them at the fair, and you can buy it because they don't penalize the vendor, they penalize the person that's possessing them. So I always tell people, be careful. Throwing knives, that's another one they sell. They sell, get your kid to sell a throwing knife. That's a felony. But you can buy them at the fair.
Wow. There should be, that they have to give notification.
Well, they just tell people, check applicable laws. It's,
Yeah. I have
No.
a question on the burglaries. Was there any more commercial burglaries? Because I know the previous months we had experienced a lot of it.
Yeah, no, these were residential. The other structure was a shed.
That
So,
was
and
4,
those-
what was the 5th?
Uh,
You said 3 residential and 1 other structure, but there were 5
Oh,
burglaries, so what was the
I
5th?
can't see. 3 residential, sorry, and 2 other structure.
And
One was-
how many frauds?
Fraud was 2.
2, okay, thank you.
Frauds.
Do we know if the burglaries are occurring in daylight, nighttime?
Let's see, 1 is day, entry by no force. 2 were unknown, no force. And the other structures were night, 1 by force, 1 by not force. And not force means you left the door open and I walked up to one like that.
Like a lot of us do in Acton.
Exactly. It happens. Let's see, where they, we had 2 possession of controlled substance, excluding marijuana, because we really don't count marijuana anymore because of the way the state laws are, so. Unless it's in your car, then it's a whole other issue. Let's see, 2 under the influence, misdemeanor vehicle voting law, which could be driving on a suspended license or registration over 6 months, one of those. 1 felony vandalism, 1 federal offense with money, which was a mail theft. 1 miscellaneous felony, which means it didn't fit in any of the category, but it was a felony, so it gets that stat. Petty theft of a bicycle, 1 of those, and 1 from a petty theft from a vehicle. 3 miscellaneous misdemeanors. 2 select suspected child abuse reports. 2 found properties. 2 suspicious circumstance, probable criminal activity. 1 non-criminal domestic violence. 2 mentally ill. 1 one traffic accident, and which usually CHP tape, but this one involved a county vehicle. So if we get that one. One vehicle repossessed, one found license plates, 2 non-criminal elder abuse, and 2 vehicles impounded. So that's kind of rounds it out. Yeah, the ones that are defined as like non-criminal elder abuse means we get a report that somebody said, hey, my neighbor so-and-so, I think is undergoing some kind of financial abuse, or they're locked in the house and the relatives don't let them come out, and it generates a report from Adult Protective Services or Child for the SCAR. We go out and investigate. If it's nothing, then we clear it with, there's nothing there, it's somebody's, and a lot of them are somebody saw something and they believe this is what happened, and we investigate. In fact, no, that's not the case. It's, you know, when you're looking at your neighbors through the binoculars, you see something, it may not be what it is, so. And so we clear them up, but we still have to report them. And the way the system works today, and I'll make it really quick if I can, is if you call in on the hotline, they automatically generate a report, which automatically now goes to the station and generates the call. So in the old days, they would call us and we would put it in and go take. Now we get a whole report prints out with all the stuff that they took over the hotline, saying, hey, I know this person, and we always see them at 5 o'clock. We don't see them. We don't know where they are. We think that you know, they being held against their will, or their children are taking all their money, and then we have to go investigate.
Is that an elder abuse hotline, or is that a crime hotline?
There's elder abuse hotline, and then there's DCSF child hotline, 800 numbers. Yes, ma'am.
You know, my computer was hacked, so I called the Geek Squad and the bank.
Right.
And somehow one of them, I don't know if they're, you know, what do you call it, you know, when you have to report.
Right.
Anyway, it got reported to the Department of
Yeah.
that department that takes care of elder.
Your report will be on next month's.
I guess so.
Stat,
They're
so-
gonna send it, they sent a social worker.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. It kind of makes you not want to report anymore.
Well, and we have, and I mean, I can't give names or anything, but we have a case of a person who has a relative who lives in the backyard, who the relative has mental issues. And when they go off, we get called, we go deal with them. Well, every time we do, they generate a report for her that she's in danger. Because she goes, oh yeah, my brother, my aunt, whoever it is, lives in my backyard. And so they automatically generate a report. It's like, no, we go out there anyway. Hi, we're back. I know, I tell them don't do it, but the social worker at the hospital is convinced I'm in danger. My husband's here to protect me. He doesn't bother, he just yells and screams and goes off, and you guys take care of it. Okay.
The Microsoft fraud that you talked about is going around, because I told my daughters who work in the office about it, and they had told me it had happened to us. They got a whole thing on there. They didn't call, obviously. They just reset the computer and restarted it, because we have
And speaking of that, there's a couple of scams going around too on your computer. If you go on to certain websites by accident, or you type a wrong, you know, you're trying to go into the Walmart site, you hit a wrong word, because that's one of them. It comes up, says, warning, your computer is affected with a Trojan virus. Please call this number for Microsoft and give the employee this code. Well, that means they get access to your entire computer,
Yeah, that's.
and they can search and they either put malware on it, or they hold it hostage and they want you to buy their cleaning program for $300 or $400 to clean your computer. So if you see that, because I got one and I called Microsoft, okay, whose number is this? They go, it's not ours. I go, I knew that. I just want you to know that, you know, yeah, just don't go in, don't press OK, don't do anything, just close your browser.
I got one of those, and I just went to Google and I Googled the message that I got, and right away it came up, and it posted right
Yeah.
as spam.
Yeah, these guys are pretty sophisticated on what they do
Yeah,
to
they
get
got the
money.
They said it
Microsoft
looks
logo
real.
and web
Oh, yeah.
page and
Looks really real.
Oh, yeah, they have, it's a close number to Microsoft. It's got the same prefix, area code, and
Oh my
but
gosh.
it's one of their guys. So yeah, just be careful with those. And anytime somebody tells you, hey, I've won money, you've won some prize or money, but you have to give me a deposit, or something, that's a fraud. Or if they tell you, I need you to go out and get a green dot cash card
Yeah.
and read me the numbers. Once you do that over the phone, they've got it, and they're not traceable. Because we'll get that, hey, we still get hey, this is your brother Sam, I'm caught in prison in Jamaica, and, I got a lawyer here, and he'll tell you what to do, and, 3 o'clock in the morning, you're like, John, I've had people that don't have a brother named John or a son, but whatever the name is, but they were sound asleep, and they're like, oh, you're in trouble? Okay, hopefully you know where your relatives are or something, hopefully. But yeah, those scams still go around. I'm personally still waiting for my Liberian account that I helped the guy trying to, he had all that money in trust. That's that old scam that they would, you get the thing from the official from, Liberia or wherever it is that, we have this money in trust and you can help us by giving us an,
Have their spelling skills
Spelling
been
better?
improved?
No,
No,
they're
they're
still just as
yeah.
bad. So,
Okay.
all right. Yes, ma'am.
Last Friday, I was on Soledad on my way to do some chores and I had to do something in Palmdale, and I got stopped by the sheriffs. They were blocking Soledad,
Oh, yeah.
and the sheriff told me that they had spotted some sort of thing on the track, and they thought it was a hand grenade or something like that,
Close.
and so
That
they.
was my caper.
Ah.
I
what
was
that
at the
about?
command post for that one.
Ah,
Somebody planted a hoax device, tied it to the signal tower for the railroad.
ah.
And the bomb squad came out, rendered it safe, and I booked the evidence because we think we can get something off of it. But they made it look, they had a device that was encapsulated with wires coming out and voltmeter gauges, and it was tied to the tower, and then they had another device tied next to it that looked like it could be a grenade, which was rocks all wrapped in electrical tape. But somebody did that, and then 2 days later, somebody went by that same tower and cut through all the antenna cables.
Oh, jeez.
And those are for Union Pacific, that's not for high-speed rail, that's not for Metrolink. It's a RFID reader that reads the barcoding on the cars as it goes by, which is how they track where freight cars go from, make sure it's going to the right destination. That's all it does. But
Now, does that get listed as one of your reports?
no, because it actually happened the August side.
It
So
was last Friday.
it
Wasn't August yet.
yeah, but it didn't make the cut, so.
Also,
Yeah.
wasn't there,
And, I'm sorry.
this is a separate situation, but within, I believe it was last month, wasn't there a animal cruelty or somebody had placed some animals or cats in a box and left them on the road or something?
Yeah, apparently we didn't get, I don't have that listed, so.
We had a situation where somebody who rescued a cat in that situation, but that was months ago. They found the box and it was moving, the guy opened it and the cat jumped out, but evidently somebody had bound the cat so the cat couldn't get out of the box and just left the box
And left the
over by
box.
the school.
And we do
by the
have people,
Guinea.
and it's usually people out of the area who abandon pets because they don't want to deal with them, and they'll pull up and drop them off. And I've had people call me, hey, I just saw this car pull up, at Soledad and Tyndall, and they pulled the side of the road, and they threw the dog out and kept going. So why would you do that?
Suppose they got their license plates.
Yeah, we did rescue a dog from the Spunky Fire, because I went out to that, worked that last Thursday, or a week ago Thursday. And it was nice to know that the new animal shelter in Palmdale is open till midnight every night. So if you find an animal, they have a walk-up window and you can bring it to them and they will take it up to midnight.
Wow.
It's a nice place if you get a chance to visit.
But it's still a kill shelter and you never can tell what's gonna happen to an animal that's brought there, so.
Well, this was a very cute, probably 1 or 2 year old, full-blood Queensland healer that didn't want to let go. He was just friendly as could be, just hop in the car.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, he was wandering through the roads and I ended up taking him to the shelter. So one of our other deputies caught him, jumped in the car, and then they had somebody else in the back. So I said, well, let me see if he'll come to me. He just ran right over to me and jumped in the car like it was his car. I was like, okay. So,
I have
yes, ma'am.
one question. The bridge over on Angeles Forest Highway,
Yeah,
it was in there was somebody crashed into it a couple months ago.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know when that will be fixed, or who do I call? Is that Caltrans?
That is Public Works, and I know it's on their list because I've discussed it with them.
Okay,
But I think it's not a danger, so it's got the lowest priority.
looks pretty crappy.
Yeah, I know, but it's on their list to fix.
Okay.
I don't know if they have to
Public
get
Works.
permits for that because it's over railroad property, I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah, they are, Mitch Caddick over there, or Mark Caddick over there, he's
Yeah.
aware of it, and
all right,
it's on their list.
okay.
One last thing, I'm
Yes,
sorry, you sometimes speed up and sometimes you slow down, and I'm having trouble following.
Okay.
After the petty theft of the bicycle, there was two items that I think I lost.
That was a petty theft of a bicycle and petty theft from a vehicle. And then I had 3 miscellaneous misdemeanors.
And then you went to two child abuse?
Yeah, that would have been the next one.
Great, thank you very much.
Not a problem.
All right. Nothing else? Anything good?
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, and the other last thing is, I was evacuated like everybody else for the, after I had called in and they said, oh, it's on the top of Indian Canyon and it's headed towards St. Canyon. It's not even coming to Acton, and 4 hours later they call back, go, oops, the wind shifted, we're wrong. And then 3 o'clock in the morning, I get the, you are being evacuated, please pack up and get out of Dodge, you know, so, thank you.
Yeah, we did that too.
It's all right. All right.
Okay, library report, Mr. Elford.
This is such a small group, do you mind if I stand here?
Sure.
We can hear you.
First and foremost, the County of Los Angeles Public Library would like to apologize for being closed last week. We know it interrupts everyone's daily routine. You should all know that the Sand Fire did some pretty serious damage to our air conditioning unit, which has all been repaired, of course, but it just took us a little while to work it out, getting the new parts, that whole thing. But we got it fixed, we're open again, so again, sorry about the inconvenience. We have a little bit of time left for our summer reading program. We have 4 more programs coming up in support of that. Summer reading typically ends mid-August, late August, depending on the library. We're probably going to go through August. But next month I will have the numbers for you. We're hoping to beat the numbers from last year, which were pretty good. Although being closed for a week does kind of interrupt things, unfortunately, as do town evacuations, stuff like that. But right now we're on track to do better than last year, which is always a good thing. It means more people coming into the library. Summer reading program culminates every year with the ice cream social Wednesday, August 31st. It's a huge thing. There's always a ton of people. Please stop by. It's one of the few times you can walk anywhere in this library and have a gigantic crowd that you have to sort of elbow through. It's such an unusual thing. It's just kind of a cool thing to see.
What time is it?
It's 3:30. Oh, excuse me. No, 3 to 4. But it always goes till we close. I mean, people just kind of loiter. There's so many. So it kind of starts before 3 when we break out the ice cream, and it just goes the whole day. So just kind of be aware of that. Also, the week of August 22nd, every day of the week, we have an art or craft program. This is in collaboration with the Arts Council. A different person comes in every day of the week at 10 a.m. to do crafting stuff. We're going to have a nice little display out by the circulation desk of all the wonderful things you can make. If you know anybody between the ages of 8 and 17, please tell them to stop by, or at least come by and just kind of take a look at what they can do. Lastly, we have a new county librarian. I told you about this a few months ago. Her name is Sky. She replaced a woman named Margaret Donald and Todd. Margaret, MDT as we call her, didn't like us to post up any signs. Don't do this, don't do that. She sort of considered it to be, she didn't want to create a negative environment. Sky is very different, so they produced this. They're called customer expectations. We have little flyers around. 2 little things, one of which we posted back here on the wall, and you'll find another one in the library right behind the circulation desk. It's stuff you guys already know, no disruptive behavior, no gigantic piles of food by the computers, things like that. We're just making it really obvious for people. And these are available everywhere for you to pick up and take home and pass around to everybody who wants them. And one last thing I didn't have on my notes, yesterday the library was closed for something called All Staff Training Day. We actually had the chance to take a 45-minute cybersecurity lecture kind of thing with a guy from the FBI. Absolutely fascinating. A couple of things I took away from it was the technologies out there for very uneducated people to steal everything you have very, very simply, which is kind of terrifying. But he kept hitting the point that every website you go to, have a different password, have a different username, no matter what, and have a number of emails, not just one, because there are programs out there that will go through every single bank in this world, and once they get one username and password, they can test it out in every single place out there on the web. But I might be able to actually bring him into the library and get him to give a little talk. He's with the FBI, he's very busy, but since you spent a lot of time talking about it, it might be worthwhile. I'll see if I can give him a call.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
I'd love to sit on that.
John,
Yeah.
how long is Tony's art going to be up here?
Through the end of the month, hopefully, but these things normally stretch out. It's supposed to be a month at a time, but depending on people's schedules and stuff.
I just want to be able to say,
Is this an individual artist?
yes.
Yes, is it Hate?
Hey,
H-A-I-G-H.
I saw the cards and don't know how to pronounce last names. Anyway, it normally goes a little
to
bit
the end of
over.
August at least.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. That's wonderful.
Thank you. And I just want to say that this library has been a godsend to this community.
Yeah.
And everything we do here is always so easy to make an appointment, so easy to get a room, so easy to do everything. This library is like the best government experience any citizen can have.
I agree.
And you get ice cream without having to read.
No, and wonderful classes too. I just took that class on the
Oh, the flower
Japanese.
arranging.
Yeah,
I
it
saw the
was,
picture.
it was very interesting, something very different.
It's too bad the ash was falling from the sky at that point.
It was good though.
All right, moving on to announcements and correspondences. I have been buried for this past week and a half, so if you have something that you're aware of, go ahead. The only thing I see, looks like we have a voicemail that came in this morning. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to read that yet. Okay, I guess we can look at that.
In the meantime, I had spoke with Patricia Hachiyak. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her last name right, but evidently she is the individual overseeing the impact analysis division of the county, and that would also entail the C ordinance. And so I spoke with her regarding on their website, it indicates that public outreach will be coming soon. And so I contacted her to inquire about that a little bit more. And she responded with an email indicating they had made a report back to the Board of Supervisors after the board's direction for regional planning to come back prior to Antonovich leaving. And their report had basically said that they wouldn't be getting back to them by that time. They're not looking to go back to the board until like January of 2017. She stated that they don't have the staff to do so, and I'd like to discuss that further at,
That's interesting, because I spoke with Adele this week, earlier in the week, and he basically said that there's been absolutely zero movement on that ordinance. So that does seem to agree with what you just said.
Right, but she indicated they would be bringing it back, and that my impression that I got, which I'm fairly confident it was accurate, is they will be bringing it back. It's not a dead thing.
Well, no, I don't believe it's dead at all.
Right,
Yeah.
and so definitely think we should put it in our planning.
Oh, absolutely. That's, okay, that's interesting. They don't think it's gonna happen. I don't know if we'll be able to get any motion on that before time streets are on, everything going on. We should try at the very least. Okay. I'm gonna see if I can slide this here. So I can make it louder.
Afternoon, and we're trying to get our water turned on, but I
I'm gonna
can't seem to find the right number or who to call, if you could.
Okay. Gonna be-
Hi, my name is Angela Business, and I just purchased a house, on Gillespie Avenue, and we're trying to get our water turned on, but I can't seem to find the right number or who to call, if you could, can you call back when you're ready to speak this, would be great help, we're trying to get it turned on today, as we're moving in today. Phone number is area code 661-904-9735, that's my husband's phone number, his name is Jesse. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry, what was that about?
Sounds like they moved in and they don't know how to get their water turned on. That might be a.
Oh, for District 37?
Well,
Depends whether they're on a well or county water.
She said it was Gillespie Avenue.
Gillespie, so
Oh, Gillespie,
county,
you should-
county
yeah.
water.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be a simple call to your realtor.
I was just gonna say that.
There was another phone call from a resident inquiring about a business license as well in the last week or so.
Not a city license, just a business license?
A business license within.
900.
That would be
Yeah.
with the county, not, there is no city. Something's, you don't need a license for.
Okay.
I think she did.
I'll make a note just to call her after the meeting. I'll call Jesse. I don't know if they call a realtor or, there's a general event, right?
LA County Waterworks.
So like County Waterworks, I'm not well, I don't know how to get your water turned on either.
Well, it's all in your paperwork, or it should have been for me.
Okay. All right. Any other announcements or correspondences?
There was nothing in the mail that
Okay.
was important.
Excellent. All right, the corporation, a lot of movement, thanks to both Ruth and Angela here. So do you want to fill us in, tell us where we're at?
I secured Jan Brown at the Acton Print Shop as our agent for service of process.
Okay.
She actually is doing it under the name of her corporation, JB Associates. She feels better doing that for her protection, even though I think, I made sure she understood what that agent is all about, so that she didn't feel like she was putting herself on the line for anything, because she's not. She's got a mailbox held for us. She's just waiting for it to be, paid for, but she says she's holding it for the town council. That's mailbox 4399. So I filled out the LLC 1, which is the initial filing for the LLC. Just waiting upon an EIN. We definitely need the EIN. There's cases where you don't need an EIN, but in all my mounds of research, I have found that we definitely need an EIN, especially when dealing with the franchise tax board, to get our nonprofit tax exempt status.
Okay.
They have an issue with LLCs. So the only way they'll recognize an LLC is A, if it's identified as an entity that's an association, which that's a separate form that I filed that is requesting the LLC be identified as an association. Otherwise, it defaults to a general partnership type tax status. And if we identify ourselves as an association, the franchise tax board will then recognize us for tax exempt consideration.
Okay.
So, anyway, I'm ready to go, got everything lined up, got a lot of the paperwork's filled out. I know what order it has to go in. The stumbling block is the EIN, which we can obtain on irs.gov by filling it out online. Or they used to do over the phone, but they don't do that anymore unless you're a foreign entity trying to get an EIN in the United States. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, for the EIN, once, let's say, a member, initiates that and obtains the EIN at a later date, if that member is no longer part of the council, can that, name associated with the EIN be changed and
Yes.
still?
Yes,
and
you just
still
have to
the same
update.
EIN? Okay.
I
And
just
then-
wanted to
Right, so that would be.
put it out there, there's a lot of upkeep with this whole LLC thing. A lot of, it's not so hard in establishing the LLC. The nonprofit tax exempt status is more complicated, like you said it was. There's a lot more forms, but it's still not something we can't do on our own. I totally can do it. It's the upkeep afterwards that I want to make sure that you guys are aware of, because there's pretty stiff penalties if statement of information isn't filed every 2 years.
Right.
And then you also have to file a form, like there's a 990 with the IRS, and then there's I forget what it is, with the state, but I forget what the numbers are, but you have to file those every year, almost like a tax return. And they're pretty simple,
I
but,
think we would just have to write like a standard operating procedure for that, and then have it, one officer is gonna do that. So it changes every time that officer changes, that new officer gets the book, and they know, and they've read it, and they know how to do everything, so.
and then when you have elections and people
Right.
are unseated and new people come in, I believe that those statements of information are a way for us to update the present members of the council. And quite possibly, those may be needed to be filed even more often than every 2 years if there is a change of seat. So that's something that I can call and inquire upon.
I had spoken with Don Henry, the president of the Acton Town Council, as they are 501.
C4.
Yeah, the C4, and he indicated that it's not very difficult, and I also intend to speak with Mary regarding